So customization of user interface, as I said, basically customization of the pages. So in Salesforce, you see for everything we have a page. You go to any tab, there is a page which opens. Then you click on a record, there is another page that opens. This is an app that we created. Now you go to this, you know, tab, and you click on a certain record from this tab. You will see that the record gets displayed. So this is also one page, right? Now, in the customization of UI, the first thing that we will talk is page layouts. Okay. And then customization of UI can be done by designing new pages and all that stuff. That's something that we will do a little later. That's the programming part. But today we are going to talk about the page layout. Okay, what is page layout? Page layout is basically the layout of the page for the records. The detail view pages where you see the details of the record. That page is layout. Right. Now, if you notice it here, for example, if I see on this page, this is the object that I've created, and these are all the fields. But you will find it that all the fields are being displayed on one side, and this side is completely blank. There's nothing here, right? So you might want to move a few fields from here to from the left hand side to the right hand side. All right, there's something which can be done through page layout. Okay, so first thing that we can do with the page layout, where do we do that? I'll just show it to you, but before that, let's understand what all can we do with the page layout. We can set the positioning of the fields. So field positioning can be done using page layout. We can okay, so field positioning can be done. We can make the fields required on the page layout. We can remove the fields from page. We can set the order of related lists. Anyone who can tell me what's a related list? Anyone? Any ideas? What's a related list? Related list?
Does it have something to do with the field dependencies?
No. Related list.
Is it the lookups that you have in one of the records that you pick up from the other one?
Not lookup. The list of child records. Related list is basically the list of child records.
What do you mean by child record?
If you have a company IBM and if you have 4 contacts for them, those are the child records of IBM.
Okay.
And if you have 5 opportunities for them, those are the child records for IBM. And if you have 9 cases, these are also child records. Okay, so these are related list. This is one related list, this is another related list, and this is the third related list. Okay. So if we go by the default sales, or if you go to the default account record, let's say this one. So first of all, you will see the account details, and after that you see the related list, right? List of contacts, list of opportunities, list of cases, right? Activity history. So through the page layout, you can also control which all related list you want to display and what will be the order of the related lists. Okay.
Got it.
So you can set the order of the related list. Let's say someone says that, hey, you know what, I need opportunities first and then contacts. Or someone says that, no, I need the cases first, then opportunities, and then the contacts. So that's something that we can do. So that's what I'm talking here. Page layout allows you to set the order of related list, and it also allows you to control the visibility of related lists. Visibility means whether you want to show that or not. If I say that I don't want to see cases at all, you should remove this from my page layout. Right? What else? One more thing. You also can control the fields of related lists. So in the related list, there are a few fields displayed, right? Like for contacts, I can see the contact name, title, email, phone. Okay. If I want to see one more field here, that's also something which can be controlled on the page layout. So for example, for opportunity, I can see the name, stage, amount, and close date. If I just want to see one more field from opportunity here in this table, then that's also something that you control from the page layout. Clear? So these are the things that we will do using page layout. Every object has page layout because every object has pages. Standard object, custom object, every object has pages. So every object has page layout as well. Now you can go to the page layout and then you can make the changes on the page layout for basically controlling the look and feel for your users. How do they want the fields to be displayed? Where the field should be displayed? Which all fields should be displayed? Which all fields should be read only? Which all related list to be displayed? And which all fields in the related list to be displayed? So everything can be controlled. Okay. So
Can you
for
just tell me, please?
yeah,
Those child records, I didn't get exactly what you mean. List of child records.
which one?
List of child records.
Okay.
I didn't get you. What you mean.
If there is an account, there can be multiple contacts under that account,
Hmm.
right? So this is the list of child records. These are child. Okay. So the list of contacts will be called the related list. Okay.
It is not like means account is a means object and contact is one field in account.
Contact is not a field. These are the fields. Annual revenue, billing address, account number, account site. These are fields. Contact is another object which is related to it. Is a child of it.
So account is parent here and
Contact is
contact is
child.
child.
You're right. Account is parent, contact is child. Now there will be multiple child records connected to each parent, right? So
Hmm.
basically the related list means the list of the child records, list of the contacts under the account. Is that clear now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So now let's go and see how do we control the page layout. So we will take our example of hotel reservation app that we were doing. Which one do we take? This one. Okay. Let's say the reservations. Okay. Now this is the reservation is a custom object. Okay. And this is the page layout for the reservation. All right. So if I want to change the page layout for the reservation thing, what I need to do, I go to setup, and then you go to create object Which object are we talking about? The reservation object. So just click on this object and you will have the option of editing the page layout for this. You see the page layout for this. This is the page layout. Click on edit. And this is how it is looking there, right? So we have the option of moving the fields from left to right and the way we want actually. See, so you can basically drag and drop the field wherever you want. So control the layout of the fields. Okay, now I want the check-in date here, checkout date here, reservation date here, customer name here, all that. Okay, so you can control. That's one thing. Set the position of the field. That's definitely done using the drag and drop. If you feel that you are now okay with the positioning, you can just go ahead and click on save. So your look and feel of the page will get changed. From here,
Did, can these fields be arranged only in through columns, the way it shows on this page, or could it be customized as well?
through columns means, sorry, I cannot understand.
Like, the left and the right, or can you have like one, two, three columns as well, the way the display is
No,
showing right
we
now?
cannot have three columns. We can have two columns for displaying the fields. If you
Got
want
it.
further customization, we have the scope of programming, writing programs for that. That's something that we'll do later.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
the standard, without programming, this is the scope. Okay. So now we go to the reservation. See, the layout of the fields have changed. Now they appear to be in this fashion. All right. Simple. Don't think there's any difficulty in understanding this. Now, let me go back to the same page layout and let's say I want to make a certain field mandatory on the page layout. Go to the page layout, click on edit. Whichever field you feel you need to make mandatory, let's say check-in date is a mandatory field. Okay. And do you want to make it mandatory or required? Then you can just go to that field, click on this icon, properties icon, and say required. It will make this field required. Click on OK. That's it. Before you come out of this, click on save. Which field did we make required? Which field did we make as required?
Check-in date, right?
Check-in date.
Checking.
Check-in date. Okay. Now when someone tries to create a new record, see, check-in date has automatically become a required field. It was not a required field earlier, now it has become. Now checkout date is not required. You won't. You can make this field also required on the page layout. So just go, click on edit. So just come here, click on this icon, say required. Okay. Before leaving this page, make sure you are saving it. See, now the checkout date is also a required field. Alright, so the second part is also done. So page layout, we are able to change the position of the fields, we are able to make the fields required. Remove the fields. Okay, if you don't want certain fields to be displayed on the page layout, you can always remove them. Sometimes you might feel that okay fine, this field is not required to be shown on the page. Let me just keep it in the backend. Can be done. So any particular field that you don't want to display on the page, you can just go and remove it. Let's say I just want to remove the reservation rate. Click on it, edit. Reservation date is what I don't want. Click on remove. See, just beside this properties there is this option of remove. Okay, so this is where we can actually go ahead and remove the field. Done. Removed. Now removed does not mean that the field got deleted. Field is there. We are not deleting anything from the database. We are just removing it from the page layer. At a later point of time, if you want to bring in the field back, you can always bring it. See reservation date. This is here. You can always bring it back. Got that? So if you want the field, you can again bring it back. The field will stay there, just that it becomes invisible on the page layer. Clear? Now moving on to the other stuff. Set the order of the related lists. Order of the related list. Okay, so for that let me pick some object which has a related list. Let me say I'll pick rooms. Rooms has a related list of reservations. A related list is there, right? Some child is there. So this is a good example. Now for example, now what do you see for the room? Sorry, for the reservation. Only the reservation ID is being displayed here, right? You might want to see what is the reservation date, check-in date, check-out date. Those fields also you might want to see here, right? Right now it's by default only showing the ID. What will I understand with the ID? I want to see the reservation date, check-in date, check-out date of the reservation for this particular room, right? Which all reservations are on. So that's also something which should be done on the page layout. But this time, which page layout shall I be editing?
On the reservation.
On the reservation. Which page I am on?
You're on room.
So which page I need to edit?
Oh yeah, your rules on the room.
What I want to view is to be controlled on which page? It's to be controlled on the room page, right?
Right, right.
Everyone is clear with that? So it's a room detail page. So for basically for every object we have the detail page for that object or view page for that object, which means the uh, page where in which we see the details of the record. So this is the room detail page, correct? I need to go and make changes here because the data that needs to be displayed is on the room page. So what I need to do here, where do I need to go? Please help me with the navigation. Anyone? How do I go to that
Your
room page?
setup,
Hmm.
create.
Hmm.
Let me do it side by side. That way I can see what the options are.
Tell me the navigation. Someone else can also tell me.
I'm slightly lost here. Give me a second.
No problem. Others can also tell me. How do I go to the room page?
Create, setup, create,
Hmm.
go to the objects,
Hmm.
mm, go to the room page.
Okay. Go to the room object and from there scroll down a
Page
little
layout.
and go to the page layout. Fine. So it's pretty simple. Just go to that object and search for the page layout for that object. That's what it is. Now here also see all the fields are in the left hand side. I just want some of the fields to appear in the right hand side. Let's say price. Let's say maximum occupancy. Alright. Now if you scroll down further, you will get to see the related lists, reservations, right? I just here right now I can just only see the reservation ID. I can click on the properties to include a few more fields. Very simple. What all fields you want to include? Check-in date, check-out date, and the reservation date, right? Okay. Do you see this? Earlier it was only ID, now it also shows the reservation date, check-in date, check-out date. Okay. Click on save. Come this side. You do control R now, and if you refresh this, these fields are also being displayed. So gives us a better understanding of the child records also on the same page. So room A001, we have a booking from 17th August till 19th August, and this booking was done on 13th August. So this way there can be multiple reservations and we can quickly have a look into those. Is it clear?
Yep.
Okay.
Sir, see in that child record we have 4 columns. We can have multiple columns also
More than
because
four?
in the
You want to show more than four columns? Yes, you can. If you want, for this related list, you can display more columns also. Let's say customer name
but
is
not for the parent one.
here. This part is can be of two columns. Okay. Child record. This is a table, and this can have more columns also. Let's say you want to include a customer name also there. So there is no problem in that. Customer. Okay. Save you have to do. See now five columns. So this is a table. What we'll have to understand is from the structure point of view, this is a table for the child records. So I can have more columns there. But for the record detail, it's not a table. It's a layout or this is a section. Section has two columns only. Okay, maximum two columns. But table can have multiple columns. So for the child records, yes, you can display it in like 5, 6 columns, no problem. Okay. So we are okay with all these options now. Okay, in case you don't want to see the related list on the page layout, then you can just go and remove the related list. So that option is there. If you click on this, the related list will be removed from the page layout. Okay, so then it will not be displayed on the page layout, but a related list, stays in the database. It stays, but on the page you do not display it, right? So that's the thing. Are we clear on it? Let me know if there is any question or doubt here. Okay, very nice. There's one small concept that I want to discuss, which is pretty much related to what we just have discussed and what we have seen just now. That's about our making the field required, the required field concept. Okay, I don't know how many of you have noticed it, but tell me if you have noticed that thing. When you create a field, when you're creating a field, have you noticed there is an option of making that field required?
Yep.
Yes.
Is it there? Tell me who has not seen that option. Everyone has seen that option, right? So we have that option of making the field required while we are creating the field, correct? Now today we have seen another option of making a field required on the page layout. So if we are talking about making a field, a certain field required, we have an option of making it on the page layout, and the other option is we could have made it required while we are creating the field, right? Okay. Do you think there will be any difference in these two approaches? If you make a field required at the time of creating the field, and if you make a field required on the page layout.
I think it's about the visibility. Keith. One thing that I observed is when you actually make a field required while creating it, in the next step, uh, all the all the apps will be checked by default. Correct me if
Um,
I'm wrong.
No, but how will what kind of a difference will it make to us for the end users?
for end user, we can't ignore the required field when we actually create that object. But when we create it in a page layout section, we may or may not ignore that particular field.
Now, how will you ignore on the page layout also if you have made required? How will you ignore it? Now I have made this reservation check-in date as required on the page layout. Okay, you still cannot ignore it. You still have to put a value, otherwise it will not allow you to save the data. So once you have made it required, it's gonna impose that rule on you that you will have to put the value, otherwise I'll not allow you to put the data into the database. Okay, so making it required is like putting a security guard here who will not allow you till the time give him some bakshish. So
Could you please
now,
describe it?
what can be the difference between this approach and that approach? And that's something
Um,
that we have discussed in our last 1 week of session. Something
so in the other approach where we are making a field as required after the fact that we have created it, it
means
there
you're
has to
talking
be,
about the page
I'm
layout.
assuming that there, yes, page layout.
Okay,
I'm assuming there has to be something to be adjusted on the record that already exists and have the missing value in that field.
no, nothing like that.
No?
No, so the ones which have already been created, that's fine. They are
Okay.
safe. So you don't have to put some value there. The next time you try to edit that record, which was already sitting in the database, you try to edit that, then they will, then it will ask for the value. But till that time, you don't need to provide any value.
Got it.
Okay, so um, these are the two things. One is universally required. So we call a field universally. Sorry, we call a field universally required if the field has been made required at the time of creating the field. So if you check in that option at the time of creating the field, if you check that option that required, then it becomes a universally required field. Okay, so terminology that we use for that is universally required. And if you make it required on the page layout, so we call it required on page layout. Okay, so you should be able to get some hint from here also, from what they are called. Now do you get some hint? What may be the difference?
It means when we create that object, that required field will be required in page layout also, right? We can't ignore that. And the
And
field
something
which
which is
is
required on
not
page
like
layout,
it was normal, yeah.
and something which is made required on the page layout, what happens with that? Okay, in how many ways can we enter the data into the database?
Data loader and physical entry on the interface.
Okay. So physical entry which we are talking about through the interface, that is where we are using page layout, correct?
Right.
Are we
Yes.
using a page layout for the data loader?
No, we are
No.
not.
While we are entering the data using data loader, are we using a page layout?
No.
No, right?
No, we are not.
That's
That
a
can
backend
be
entry, right?
specified.
Hmm. Now do we get some hint?
So would the data, so assuming that if you have to do it through a data loader, would it be rejected in one case and not in the second one?
Right, correct. So there are two ways of two ways in which the data can enter into the system, right? If you have made a field universally required, then that field will be always required, no matter you are entering the data from the page layout or from the data loader. But if this is the case, if you have made a field required on the page layout, then this applies only on the page layout, and it will throw an error only when someone is trying to enter the data from the page layout. But the moment you are trying to enter the data from the data loader, that time it does not have any problem. So if you are trying to do a bulk upload using data loader, and if you do not supply the value for check-in date and check-out date, because these are the fields which are required on the page layout, it will still accept the data, it will not throw error. But if you don't supply the reservation ID, which is the required field, then it will throw error. Why? Because
Okay.
this is a universally required field, and these are two fields required on the page layout. So depending on our requirement, sometimes we may have that sort of a requirement that we want the data to be inserted when someone is manually entering it. But if there is a bulk upload, we still want the data to get into the database somehow. We don't want errors to be thrown because of the data, values were not supplied. So in that case, you should make those fields required on the page layout. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, okay. So,
One question I have.
mhm.
In left hand side, recent items, right? A001 and something here, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Uh, Whenever we tried to insert data using data loader on standard object, will it reflect here also in recent of items?
No, recent items will be the recent items that you have just checked, that you just clicked on. Okay. So through the interface, not through the data loader. Okay. So
So
recent items are that
where can we check that actually it is inserted or not in the standard object?
go to that particular object and check. If you have inserted accounts, just go to setup. Sorry, not wallet setup. Go to the accounts tab and then check the data there. Click on accounts. Let's say you check all the accounts which are new this week. Click on go. Right now there are no inserts. So if you have just inserted data, it will show that okay, fine, these are the records which were created.
Okay. So we can check data from here. Okay.
Yeah, you can just go to that particular tab and check for the records. You will get to see whether those records are created or not. Anyhow, you will get from the data loader also gives you the success log. So from success log also you can understand which all records were inserted. But in case you just want to make sure, do a double check in Salesforce, you can just go to that tab and check it.
Okay.
Fine.
Jeet, one other quick
Uh,
question. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead. No, Shefali, go ahead, finish your question.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. I will. Okay. This we see here like customization of UI
Hmm.
on custom objects also. Can we do those customization on standard objects?
We can do it. We can do that.
Okay.
That option is also available, and it's the same. There's no difference. Why I was trying to show it to you on custom object and why I want you to do it in custom object, because the components on the custom object are lesser, so I don't want you to get confused with too many things. So but the
Okay.
same option, same thing, no difference, can be done in the standard object also. In fact, I will talk about that also. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. I'm done.
Arvind.
Thank you. So, Jeet, on when we're talking the required field concept, right? The difference between universally required and required on page layout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for example, the biggest difference that we've seen is, when you load data through data loader, a universally required field would error out if you don't have a value.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have to, and whereas in the required on page layout, you're saying that if that record only gets edited at a later time is when it'll ask for that value to be updated,
Yeah, right.
correct? Now, assuming that if somebody had made a required on page layout, or if you have to make a field that is not universally required into a required field going forward, even if the data is being entered from a data loader, if I go back into the setup and edit that specific field settings, then it will become a universally required field, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
Yep, we can do that.
Thanks.
All right then. So